So if you're watching this video, you are probably a lot like me. You have more books or books that you want to read than you actually have time to read them. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I make time for reading. This is actually not something that I just came up with. This is actually a video idea that came straight from you guys. Can you talk about how you made time in your day to read with all that we do? Thank you so much, TJ Luke, for that question. This is definitely in line with the videos that I want to be making. And so if you, like Luke, want to give video ideas, or maybe you have some burning questions that you need answers to, be sure to join the conversation in the comments down below. Let's jump straight into the video. First of all, that saying, you have more books that you desire to read than you have time, that's literally me right now. Here are some books that have been on my TBR, what I desire to read, and I just have not yet had the time to read it. So the question is, how do we get through all of these books, or get to these books? How do we make time in order for reading? And I have 3 simple tips that I want to give to you today. Here is the first one. Replace instead of add. Meaning this, in order to add reading into your life, you first have to subtract something away. And whatever you're subtracting, you're replacing it with reading. So during the month of Lent, or not rather month, during the season of Lent this year, we as a family gave up TV, screens, and even a bit of social media. So here's what that looked like for me. When I took that out, I was incredibly bored. I realized how much time I had on my hands, and I had to do something with that time. What I chose to replace that with was reading. So here's what that practically looked like for me. My work day, when I would normally scroll through social media during my lunch break, instead of doing that, I would eat my lunch. If I was eating with somebody else, obviously I'm not going to do this, but if I'm by myself, nobody else is in the office, I'll go get a room, I'll eat my lunch, and then at the same time, I'll be reading a book. At night, me and my wife used to love just watching shows together. When it was the season of Lent, what we did instead was we would get on the couch like we normally do in order to watch a show, but instead of watching the show, we would both pick a book up and spend time reading. So you see what I'm saying? You can't just simply add reading, because oftentimes when we try to add reading, we realize our day becomes so much more full. We first have to subtract the things that are stopping us from being able to read. And so my encouragement for you is replace whatever you're doing, whatever hobby that you think can be replaced in your life, and just fill that space with reading. That's how I personally make time. Maybe that's a way that you can make time for reading for yourself. So the second tip that I want to share with you guys on how I make time for reading is that I prioritize reading. What that means is there are so many different things that I can do. I just make sure that reading goes before all those things. So I'll give you a good example. For me at work, reading is actually part of what I do. It is part of my professional development. It's also part of my personal development. Like, it's baked into what I do as a minister. It's highly encouraged that I read books, that I gain insight, that I gain wisdom in order to apply it into my ministry. But here's the thing. There are so many days where I get into the office, and if I just go straight to work, reading and professional improvement, all of that stuff goes out the window. I always push it to, I'll do that later in the afternoon. Afternoon comes, I never do anything. I'll say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes and I don't prioritize it, so it never gets done. I'll do it next week. Next week comes, I do the same exact thing. And so what I've had to do in order to read, I decided, hey, when I get into the office, the first thing I'm gonna do for 20 minutes, 30 minutes is read a book. So right now I am part of the family team at my church, and so we're going through a book called Family Discipleship. It's part of my job. I'm required to read this book. So instead of just pushing it off down, and never reading the book, every single time when I get into the office, I start by reading that book, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. So I prioritize my reading. What about at home? At home, I love to do many things. I like to watch shows with my family. I like to play video games, and I like to read. Well, at night, once the boys go down, typically that's the time where me and my wife unwind. We're on the couch. We might watch a show together. We might read together. I might play video games while she's on her phone. So what that then looks like is, before I get to doing anything else, I make sure that I prioritize reading. I make sure that I spend some time reading a book, getting into it, whether it's on the couch or we're already in bed. I'll just make sure that I read a few pages or a chapter in order to, again, progress to my goals. So you want to make more time for reading? Prioritize reading over other things that you might want to do. Here's the last tip that I have for you. It's less practical and more of just a mindset shift. And it's this: you have to learn to love reading. I said it. If you don't love reading, you have to learn to love to read. Now, here's what I want to also encourage you. Another way that I've heard about love is that love is spelled T-I-M-E. Time is love. And you may have even heard this: you spend time, or you waste time, on that which you love. So if you begin to love reading books, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna waste your time. You're gonna spend your time reading books. Now, here's why that practically actually makes sense when you make more time for reading. It's like this weird sensation where that when you read more, you actually desire to read more. But it's that like hump that you have to get over. At first, it's not something that you enjoy or desire to do. It feels like a slog. You're just taking it page by page by page and chapter by chapter. And it's like, when will this ever end? But the more you choose to spend time reading, guess what actually happens? You end up desiring to read more. So you're going to spend time on that which you love. My encouragement for you is begin to love reading. Again, a very practical example for me is jujitsu. Jiu-jitsu is something that I picked up several years ago. I've been more active in it this past year. It's something that I share and get to do with my two sons. Here's the thing. At the beginning, I like jiu-jitsu because I like the idea of jiu-jitsu, but man, waking up at 6 a.m. 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to have to wake up to, in a way, violence, like you're trying to submit somebody else and not be submitted, or you're trying to dominate and control somebody else. It's physical exertion. It's working out. And so there are days when I don't want to do it. Like I wake up and I don't want to go do jiu-jitsu, but I've learned to love it. And because I love jiu-jitsu, even though there's some initial like barriers that I gotta push through in order to get there, I show up. I spend time doing that which I love. And every single time at the end of a class, I never end the class saying, "Ugh, I wish I never went to jiu-jitsu." I actually end up saying like, "Man, I'm so glad that I went to jiu-jitsu." And the same is true when it comes to reading. When you read, at first, it's going to be difficult. But if you just push through, learn to love reading, at the end of it, you're going to say, "Man, I'm really glad that I spent time reading." I know that is a quick video. It's, 3 short tips: replacing instead of adding, prioritizing it, and learning to love reading. Like, I really hope that that answers your question on how I make time, and maybe this will really help you make more time for reading. If it does help you, please let me know down in the comments. And also, maybe here's the question for you. What are some things that you've done in your life in order to spend more time reading? Please let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your answers. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like a video on how I read more books in 2026, you can click here. If you want YouTube to recommend you a video from my channel, you can click here. And as always, be sure to subscribe so that way you can follow along with the content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.